What is up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into a Thursday morning edition of the Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz podcast. Bright and early, 7 a.m. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a wonderful morning so far. Get your coffee, your cereal, Captain Crunch, maybe some Lucky Charm. I don't know, what's your favorite cereal? I'm a big fan of the Captain Crunch. I'm not gonna lie, my face is itching this morning. Clearly, I was outside too long in the freezing weather. Yeah, man, I'm a big Captain Crunch fan. I don't know about you guys. What's y'all's favorite breakfast cereal of choice? And as an adult, do you eat cereal? And if you eat cereal as an adult, is it because you buy it for your kids? I think all of these are valid questions here. Personally, I buy cereal. I've got, out of my 6 children, I still have 3 at home. Single father, aged 24, 17, and 15. And a 19-year-old that's here most of the time. And they all eat cereal. So I'm always buying cereal, and so I'll eat cereal, and we go through several gallons of milk a week. But anyway, just a thought that popped into my head. Welcome into the Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz podcast, boys and girls. We've got some real Senior Bowl intel. We've got some Stephen Jones quotes that might have told us more than he meant to tell us. Because when Stephen Jones starts naming building blocks, you should probably sit down with a notepad and start taking notes. So we'll hit on that. We'll give you early winners from day one in Mobile and what it could mean for Dallas's draft board. If you're new here, welcome in. If you're an everydayer with us, I welcome you as well. Welcome back. I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in to us. This is your quick hit Cowboys pulse check, Senior Bowl, draft, roster building, and all of the stuff that matters as we enter a very important part of the Dallas Cowboys offseason, because in Mobile, Alabama, it is senior week. It is rolling. Senior Bowl week, it's rolling along here. Practices are underway. The most important part of the week isn't what happens on the field. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. It's kind of what you hear in the hallways, in those proverbial hallways. Of course, none of us are in Mobile, so we're not going to physically hear anything. But if you know the right spots and you know the places to go for actual information, of course, Mike Fisher's got some of the best. We've got some of the best right here on FanStream Sports. And you just need to tune out all of those viral clips about all these guys. We talked about it yesterday if y'all are confused about what I'm talking about. Drum beats. Drum beats is what we're looking for. So we will have all of that for you guys. On a bit of a note, an interesting note, I thought, in the coaching staff possibilities, I saw late last night, Pro Football Talk, I guess they credited Nick Harris over at the 4-Star Telegram with this, that Zach Orr will interview for a Cowboys defensive staff mystery position. Of course, he has interviewed for defensive coordinator positions, including with the Cowboys, but he's also interviewing for other jobs, other positions, in case none of those come to fruition. So, of course, he was a former defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He, as I said, he applied for the DC position, interviewed for the DC position before Christian Parker got it. Cowboys are also scheduled to interview Cardinals cornerbacks coach Ryan Smith. Orr's connection here was he was on staff with the Jaguars when Brian Schottenheimer was there in 2021. He spent 2 seasons running the Ravens defensive unit after being a beast of a linebacker there. If you remember watching him play until he was sidelined permanently with an injury and immediately went into coaching. That's just the kind of guy he is. So that, I would not hate to have Zach Orr's brain in the building with Christian Parker on the defensive side of the ball. There's no details on what position he may or may not hold. I'd be okay with just about anything he wanted to do over at the Star in the realm of the defensive coaching staff. So before we get into the meat of the show, boys and girls, it is time for our daily dad joke. The daily dad joke comes to us today from Eli. in Valley Ranch. Eli, I don't think it's Eli Manning. I don't think it's my son Eli, who, by the way, was named after Eli Manning. It's a long story, all right? Long story. Don't come at me. Cowboys fan, you named your kid after Eli Manning. I did. Don't come at me. It's a long story. Maybe I'll get into it on the show one of these days. But Eli and Valley Ranch brings us the dad joke. By the way, submit your dad joke, info@fanstreamsports.com. Put dad joke on the subject line so make sure it comes to the right place so I see it. If you would like one of our T-shirts, I'm wearing the golf shirt today. These are not available. These are available to buy, but I'm not giving you one of these. Give me your, of course, name if you want to be credited with the joke, and your address and shirt size if you'd like a T-shirt sent to you. We'll get one of those out to you. Eli did not provide any of that, so I guess Eli did not want a shirt. But his joke says, I'm writing a book. Where'd it go? I'm writing a book about glue, but I'm stuck on the first chapter. Thank you, Eli. These just get better and dadder and better every morning. I appreciate these. I hope y'all are having fun with these. It's just a little fun we have before we get into the meat of content. And by the way, the meat of the content today, Stephen Jones dropped a real clue on Wednesday. And this is probably the biggest takeaway from the front office so far, because look, when Stephen Jones speaks during Senior Bowl week, there's always a message there. There's always breadcrumbs. So here's the breadcrumbs that matter to me here on Thursday morning. Stephen Jones was asked about what the Cowboys want to build around defensively. And he, without even thinking, rattled off three names very, very quickly. Those names were Quinnen Williams, Osa Odighizuwa, and Kenny Clark. So why is that a big deal? Well, it's because Kenny Clark's cap number has been the topic of conversation since that trade happened. By the way, Kenny Clark coming over from Green Bay for the in the Micah Parsons trade, in case you had forgotten or didn't know. His money is heavy. I don't have the figure in front of me, but his money is very, very heavy. And so the question has been, is Clark going to be a rental, or will he be a long-term part of the plan? I think based on his performance last year with the Cowboys, they would like him to be a permanent part of the defensive solution. And Stephen named Kenny Clark very quickly, and not as an afterthought. So to me, that reads like confirmation that he's in. You know, as long as the cap number works. So it suggests to me that the Cowboys already plan on keeping him around in 2026. Beyond that, we don't know. We really don't know anything beyond 2026, do we? But and that all matters because, look, elite defensive tackles do not simply grow on trees. You find them. You need to keep them. You figure out all the cap implications and all the money stuff later. And yes, I would consider Kenny Clark an elite defensive tackle right now. But then the bigger question becomes, can you justify paying three interior guys big money? And that's the real roster math here. And that's not up to us to decide. That's up to Steven and the organization to decide. So here's the angle I want you to keep in your head. If this new defensive direction leans toward five-man surfaces and a more multiple front look, suddenly rotating three monster guys inside is not just a luxury. It is necessary. It's the foundation now of the defense. And that ties right into the other big Senior Bowl storyline this week, as Christian Parker is still kind of a mystery to most Cowboys fans. You can't just pull up a season of Christian Parker defensive tape. It just doesn't exist. Like, you can do that for Dan Quinn. You can do that for Mike Zimp. You can do it for Matt Eberflus. But we do know kind of what language is going to be used by Christian Parker. We've talked about it already on this show. The Vic Fangio principles, but not necessarily a carbon copy of Vic Fangio. So, and I think that's huge because Fangio-inspired, again, I'll do the air quotes, usually means disguises, simulated pressure, 5-man looks, edges that sometimes drop into coverage, and a whole lot of, just we're not going to give you easy look throws as an offense. And if you're going to ask edge guys to drop into zones at times, you need coaches who can teach that nuance, not just yell at them to get to the quarterback. And that's why you're hearing the Cowboys interviewing multiple outside linebacker type coaches. And this is, to me, could be just as big as the Christian Parker hire itself. We don't want to get too hung up on a 3-4 versus a 4-3, because in 2026 in the modern NFL, it's all blended. And the real differences are your edge rushers just rushing, or are they occasionally part of that coverage package? If it's the latter, then it changes who you're looking for. It changes your draft profile in April. Speaking of draft profiles, let's get into Senior Bowl day one winners and maybe some things Dallas should care about here. So day one, and look, the things to remember about day one at the Senior Bowl, it's kind of a fastball day. Guys come out throwing and doing what they do best. The best evaluators watch what happens when opponents adjust and when players show counter maneuvers. Some big winners, and I think we've talked about all of these guys for the most part on the show in the last week in anticipation of the Senior Bowl. But Senior Bowl. TJ Parker in day one, big time winner. I thought he looked explosive. He looked powerful. There was a certain rep where he just straight up lifted an offensive tackle with leverage. That's one of those clips that's going to get, go viral on social media. And what did we talk about yesterday? Don't fall for those. Yes, it looks good on video. It looks good in a 30-second clip. It'll go viral. Everybody will go, oh my God, TJ Parker. But I'm watching a different thing. I'm watching, does he show a counter move? Is that the only move he's got? Because if he's just a long arm, overpowering edge guy, NFL tackles will adjust to that. If he's got a counter move, then he's top 20 pick territory. So those are things what we're looking at from TJ Parker. So far, I'm impressed from what I've seen. Derek Moore, edge. Derek Moore brought some violence in day one. Physical in the run stuffing, physical in the pass rush. Very bull rush heavy. And it's the same evaluation. Great look on day one, but you need to see what he's got the rest of the practice and in the game for sure. But I thought overall a winner here in day one. Another guy we mentioned, cornerback Colton Hood. I thought he had a strong day. They did a lot of press coverage routines today. I thought he looked good. There was a rep that was late in the day where he sort of stayed in coverage and he broke up a ball near the pylon with no help. He was out on an island by himself and was able to make the play. There have been rumors of him being a little bit grabby. But what's the old Mike Tomlin adage about cornerbacks? I'd rather, pull him back than have to make him. Well, I don't remember what Mike Tomlin used to say for sure, but it's basically he's saying I'd rather have to hold him back than to ask him to go harder. That's why I'm not a freaking NFL coach, y'all. So you can coach down aggression, but you can't really coach it into people, is what I'm saying basically. So thought Colton Hood, big time winner, for sure. Another guy we've talked about at corner, Malik Muhammad. Thought he had a competitive day, played very physical. Again, what you'd expect in day one of Senior Bowl practice. He didn't look overmatched even against the guys bigger than him. If Dallas is looking for a mid-round corner with some attitude, Malik Muhammad is a name that we will probably want to keep an eye on. On the offensive side of the ball, again, I mentioned yesterday and shows previously, a running back is a position I'm going to be looking at. A guy that looked really good to me out of Arkansas, Mike Washington. I thought that he showed a lot of balance today. He showed a lot of cutback ability. I don't know what Dallas's interest in him is, if anything. And for sure not for a day one pick, obviously. But if they're looking for some help at running back, and all of this kind of depends on what happens with Javonte Williams, which apparently the Cowboys now have opened up discussions with him for a contract for next year. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, Mike Washington, Arkansas, I thought had a really good day. So all of these things, obviously we don't have intel on who the Cowboys are focusing on. I thought it was important what Stephen Jones said, for sure at the beginning about Kenny Smith. Thought that was a big tell, and it's a good big tell for sure. I guarantee you Christian Parker is gone. If whatever we can do to keep Kenny Smith, I want him on my line. And you know what? They're giving Christian Parker some latitude here. They're letting him make some big decisions, and I think that's great. It's a deviation from what this organization has done before. Been talking a lot of college ball today too, so it's program when I talk college. But I think it's telling, and it's a good move for the direction that this program, this organization seems to be going. Right, so I think it's all good news. So look. What about the plan for the rest of the week? I'm going to watch who improves. Day 1, everybody throws you their fastball. Day 2 and day 3 will show you counter moves. We'll show you if they can make adjustments. Kind of shows you some endurance if they've got it or if they don't have any. It will certainly help out with indications of any mental processing or lack thereof that the player has. And then consistency. All of these things will be what teams and what these scouts and these executives are looking for in days 2 and 3. And on the Cowboys side, I'm going to be watching one overreaching theme. What does what we're hearing from Stephen Jones and what we're seeing at Senior Bowl align with the more multiple Vic Fangio principle defense built around interior dominance? Stephen tells us a lot. And if the things that he is telling us correlate with what we know about Vic Fangio's defense and the way Christian Parker may run it, certain players that he mentions, then I think there's a good indication which direction they're going with all of this. Again, very, very early in the process. But I think Dallas will give us hints about exactly what kind of draft they want to have here in the coming month or so. So, all right, boys and girls, that is today's Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz. If you're listening on the audio, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you don't miss the rest of the Senior Bowl run this week. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like, drop a comment, and tell me what you want Dallas to target in April. And we can talk about all of that. Again, I want to know what breakfast cereal you guys are eating as adults, if any. Love to hear from you. Leave a comment in the comment section on YouTube, either on fanstreamsports.com YouTube or the Fish Report YouTube channel. If you're not on any of that and you're listening to the audio podcast, then please find me on social media at IndyCarTim. Let me know your cereal, and we'll discuss that at a later date. Get tired of talking just straight numbers and stats all the time, right? We got to have a little bit of fun here like we do with the daily dad joke. So we'll do it again tomorrow on Friday to close out the week, boys and girls. Until then, we'll see you.